Welcome to FFC Top 3, a show where we, your FFC hosts, count things down from 3 to number 1. Thank you for joining us this week. If you have a suggestion for a topic for Top 3, be sure to drop us a note on Twitter at FocusFireChat, in our Discord, or even email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com. Or, if you are so inclined and you happen to see the poll go up on Twitter or in our Discord, drop a note at the bottom of that. I do think, though, we have, because of that method in particular, we have an obscene amount of top threes listed. I think we're taken care of for the next few years.
I was about to say, I'm going to have to start, like clearing out some, because
like
I think
old
actually
ones type thing. Oh my gosh.
Someone's comment last week was, nope, you guys seem to have enough. I'm like, I really want to add that to the poll.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love the different ones we have. I think there was a chat instigated in FFC Discord today about top 3 favorite smells, which is not this week's topic by any stretch of the imagination, but that person was really wanting the top 3 smells to make it onto the show, which would be a fun one to do. It could be taken so many different ways, but yeah, thank you guys for all your suggestions. It does make it a lot more fun for us to see all the different variety of things and see what you guys want to see what you guys want to hear. That makes a lot more sense in an audio format. But this week, we're doing top 3 video game stories as our top 3 topic of the week. And it is just Blue and I this week. We are going to party hardy and get going. So, Blue, I don't know how to stop this train. Start something, please.
So my number 3 for this is actually a game that sadly we will never probably ever see a sequel to because of legal issues. But Two Human, and then probably actually it's a tie between Two Human and actually tonight's what we're doing tonight, the extra lore, Darksiders. Both their storylines are really fascinating for completely different reasons. Two Human is amazing because both from a mechanic standpoint, it's just a fun game. Like, I love the game, but it also has a really, really unique and just, in my opinion, awesome take on Norse mythology. And then Darksiders is, again, it's got a great mechanics. It's really fun to play. And also, it has a deceptively very deep story going on behind the scenes. And it's another kind of one of those ones that's like, it starts off, and we'll talk about this later. It starts off on something that's like, okay, I recognize that, and then goes in a completely different direction. And it's like, all right, we're going to go this way. And it's like, wait, what? Like, where are you going? And because of that, it's really, like, I love those kind of twists on popular mythology and stuff, because it's just so unique.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think that after going into the lore on Darksiders tonight and just kind of doing the study for it, that I really actually want to go and play the game, because I was never interested in the game. Because,
oh, really? Okay, yeah.
Like, it never popped up on my radar, because I'm not a huge... I liked God of War, which, from what I've gathered in this and how it goes in story-wise, it has kind of the same feel mechanics-wise.
Yeah, it really does, actually. That part is what got me started on it. I bought the first one because there is no, and we'll talk about this in the full episode, but I got it because God of War is an exclusive PlayStation title. And so I have a PS2, which is what allowed me to play God of War, and I believe God of War 2, but then God of War 3 was on the PS4, I believe, or PS3. And then the final installation, or the new God of War, is on PS4 with the Norse mythology, which is, and that storyline's really cool too.
Another one, I think.
Yeah. It's going to be, I think they're doing another trilogy.
It's the sun.
Yes, yeah, because they're tackling the Norse aspects now.
Yeah.
But that's actually what got me interested in the first Darksiders. And the first Darksiders it's just an absolute blast to play.
Right.
And then I got the second one for free, I think. And I started playing it, and it was kind of like they were doing the whole thing of, like, the pendulum swing of how to get people more interested in the story. And it created it created almost a grind aspect to the game, which normally would be fine, except I was already in a couple other games at the time, so I wasn't really looking for another grind. So I dropped it, sadly. But after doing this whole research for this for this tonight, I think I told you, I was like, man, I kind of want to go back and play 2 just because I want to play 3, because 3 is about Fury, and there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of things that again we'll get into with the whole thing. But yeah, but 2 Human, if you guys have, if no one has played 2 Human, I really encourage. It's really hard to find a copy of it, because the studio, I'm trying to remember, the studio that put it out, they got in trouble for the mechanics that they used on the game, because basically they used it without permission. Let's just put it that way. And so I don't know if they got shut down, but I know that there's no sequel coming out, which is really sad, because between the cutscenes and the storyline, it is seriously one of, like, I would argue, one of the best games I've played on console.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's super fun. It's a super unique take on Norse mythology and the sci-fi genre. And it's just, they did a really good job. The sense of humor is just, it's just like everything was just extremely well done. And the sad thing is like it ends, and it was designed to be, it's supposed to be a trilogy. And so it ends on this giant cliffhanger, and then, like, I think it was like 3 months after they published it, they basically came out and they're like, yeah, we can't finish it. I was like, so go into it with knowledge that it's like, it's both it's like a Firefly thing. It's like the best thing, but the worst thing also, because you're like, no, I want more. Can't get it though.
Okay, so my number 3 is similar in that we will never get a conclusion to the story. Except for mine is considerably older. It is a story of a love lost. A love that is constantly lost and never could be truly, truly found. Where dinosaurs eat eggs and shells, and you take a feather and fly. It is the Mario story, which in some ways is really ridiculous, but it is, they never will finish that story, and it's kind of heartbreaking, and it's one of the first games I ever played, so I'm counting it as one of my top stories, because
that's fair.
I want to know why. I want to know what in the world, like, there's got to be like a deep reason why Bowser and everything, like, I don't understand Bowser's story. Like, why is this turtle, this angry turtle? Like, turtles aren't supposed to be angry.
Have you ever seen? Okay, whoa! Have you ever played around with a snapping turtle? They're always pissed. Like, they are always, and they're fast. Like, they're so fast.
But Ninja Turtle, they're not angry. Well, Raphael's angry, but he doesn't count.
But are they?
I mean, seriously, it's just, it's like it's the most unsatisfying game ever, because you never get the ending.
Well, you have to sacrifice Yoshi all the time, so.
I know, I feel bad for him.
The gifts that get made are just so bad. Like, it's just like.
Did you see the creepy, like, lifelike versions of
yeah, like, have you seen the one where it shows the Mario Brothers what happens after they fall down?
Oh no.
I'll have to find it. It's both, like, super creepy and also really well done. Like, but it's like, it starts off with the normal game, and then it falls below the level, and it pans over into a parody account of, like, what happens to Mario after he falls. It's like, I'm like, oh my god, this is so creepy.
All the
dead Marios,
all the dead Yoshis,
all the dead Marios, all the characters, like, they're dead, and they're in various stages of death. It's like there's a, I think it's a Luigi is down there, and he's like, I'm like, oh god,
oh my god,
he survived,
just like cowering in the corner.
No, he survived the fall, and he has had to scrounge his way through things.
Oh, so he's like
for
he's
food.
like a reaver now.
Yeah,
eating
it's
Marios.
real. I'll have to find it. But yeah, then there's the cartoons of, like, Yoshi, like Mario, like, flipping Yoshi off as he jumps off of him. It's the little fat Mario that's doing the flip. Oh my god, I love it. Needless to say, though, Bowser's just a snapping turtle, and he's just, yeah.
Bowser's so angry. So angry. Anyway, yeah, that's my number 3. Mario, the Mario story will never end, and it is the most tragic thing in my mind because he will never find his love. Although I don't think they actually like each other. That's never been clarified. Just saying.
Little do you know that Princess Peach and Bowser actually do feel strongly for each other, and Mario's the bad guy.
Right?
Dun dun
Wouldn't that be a
dun.
twist?
There's been a lot of
That would
webcomics.
be-
There's been a
that
lot
would
of
be, like, the
webcomics
best
about that.
twist in gaming. Oh my gosh, that would be the best like gaming twist of all
Pins.
time.
Oh God, no.
But why?
Because
It's so good.
I mean, no, yeah, pins. Yeah, no, there are those
Rule
too.
34,
There are those too,
I mean,
and we're not going
yeah,
to talk
I
about
got-
those.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's the
Anyway, what's your number before we keep going on Mario?
Destiny.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is there a particular story within Destiny that
Oh my
you really
gosh.
like? Or is it just our own?
Like, I think it's like it's not necessarily like there's not yes and no. I think would be the answer. It's not that it's not our Guardian. I mean, our Guardian story is interesting, sure, obviously, because it's what, we have. But I think it's more of like, for me, I always really like, I really like stories that take the whole concept of dystopian worlds, but then challenge the despair that's in those worlds. I think that's really cool, and I think that's a really important thing to do. And Destiny does a really good job of doing, like, even in the darkest of times, there's still that hope, and they really kind of double down on that. And and Bungie as a whole has always kind of done that type of thing, which is why I tend to gravitate a lot towards their stories within video games. Is because they always seem to have that. They did that to a degree with Marathon. They did it definitely with Halo. And obviously now with Destiny. And so, like, there's always that it's a very stereotypical hero trope of like that this is the superhero who is, the center of the story. But with Destiny 2, they disperse it among like Guardians as a whole, which is an interesting kind of thing. You kind of see it in Halo is, you'll see it with like the Spartans. And like the way that the Spartans were kind of, there was ranks of Spartans. Marathon, you didn't really have that because at the time it was pretty much like you are the hero. But it was just like, I like those types of stories. And I think Destiny does a really good job with that particular genre and with infusing or imbuing your character with that theme, while at the same time allowing you to kind of make your own story as well. I really like that.
Yeah. My number 2. By the way, Destiny does not make my list, mainly because I knew it would be on your list. So
Yeah,
it
fair.
did not make my list. My number 2 is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I cried at the end of that one. Just the whole Aloy and the mother scene. It was a really well done story, and it was a uniquely done story, which I appreciate, because you get a lot of the same things because there's tropes for reasons. But Horizon Zero Dawn, I enjoyed the. It's kind of like we're going to talk about tonight. You have like the mythology, the typical mythology, but then it's flipped on its head. And Horizon Zero Dawn kind of had that built into it naturally, which was really cool.
Well, because the AI components.
Yeah,
I like those.
because the AI was like Gaia and everything that was like related to our.
Well, they had
actual mythology.
because I think wasn't that when they also had
Hades.
the deities designations were the massive AIs. Yeah, I remember talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that one I thought was really, really kind of special as far as the uniqueness of how they're turning it with the mechanical and the natural, and how it's that return to nature story, but at the same time it is entirely a mechanical world that they're within as well, and how AI has affected everything in a very different way. Not a funny one for my second one, more serious. But we're up to number ones.
Yeah, and mine number 1 is actually kind of a tie as well, between Halo and Elder Scrolls, which I'm sure is not a huge surprise to really anybody. And mostly just because Halo will probably always have like a really fond place in my like purview, and then Elder Scrolls, just because Elder Scrolls does a really good job with bringing that sense of like Tolkien-esque fantasy into a video game. Like they I think they just do a really good job of translating that world into something that is both enjoyable but also not impossible to understand. I mean, it's immense. It really is. I understand that, but it's also not like you don't have to read. I mean, you can read books and books and books, but you can also just play the game to just enjoy it, and you pick up on the story just by playing it. Yeah. Oh God. Bethesda has nailed the use of loading screens to like give you hints, give you like hints. Like Skyrim's loading screens are probably one of my favorite ways of doing it because of the statues. It's interaction. Like you can interact with the statues, which is really cool, and it has relevant information to like what your character is actually doing. Usually, like every now and then you get a weird one, but usually it's kind of
the Dwemer when you're in the Dwemer.
Right. It's usually based off where you're located in the game, and I think that again, I just think that that's really well done.
Right.
And no, the bears can go.
The trolls. The bears could go, but the trolls.
Oh my God!
Every time
bears.
This gets brought up, every time we talk about Skyrim, I have to bring up the troll encounter. Anyway, I may have a vendetta against them just as much as they have against me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but all right, we're up to my number one, right? This is where we're at. This is where we're at.
This is what happened.
My number one is also another game that we've done here on Extra Lore that a lot of people felt very strongly about, and it is Senua's Sacrifice. I thought the story was incredible on multiple levels, not only from the lore standpoint of the mythology that they incorporated into the game, but also from the psychological story and way that they teased out an emotional response from the players. Because yeah, just that ending fight alone. The whole thing is gut-wrenching, but the ending fight alone, once you realize what happened and what's going on, it's just like, you want to play it again, but at the same time, you don't know if you want to put yourself through that pain again, because it's so dark, so deep, but also so good. So good. So if you have not played that, or you don't know the story, and you don't want to dump a bunch of time into it, there are some really great
I'll be honest, I have it
playthroughs.
I have it on my Xbox, but I watched it like the playthrough itself. There's YouTube videos out there that are really well done. Usually they're like the cinematic playthroughs, and actually that's one of the games that I would almost say I enjoyed the playthrough so much that I don't want to go back and play it because I would just, the story is just amazing.
Yeah, it is really, really, but it is one of those ones that you have to go in knowing that it's going to be dark and knowing that it's going to
break your heart.
Disturbing. It's disturbing at points too.
Oh,
not from like a like there's the scary aspect, like the nightmare-esque aspect that's in it, which I do not do scary games. That is not my thing. I don't do scary movies. I don't do scary games. This one I would be willing to play, even with everything that's going on in it. It's good. That, because there's only two of us, is actually our top three. Do you want to talk about top three at food or something? Because people tend to really like those. We can keep going. We can do another 30 minutes.
We can do another.
Just random top three.
Green really wants to do a top three this week, I guess. Like,
I like it.
What about the top three memories from GuardianCon?
Just back to back to back,
or just like either way, I don't care.
Okay, talking with devs, whether it was Gambit dev Danny or like performance dev Danny or Jonathan Toe, then helping out the deaf gentleman through the Crucible
Cody.
match.
He was a beast.
Cody. He was really good.
He was ridiculous.
He was actually part of the raid team that beat the raid on the deaf team.
Yes.
He was part of that team, which is really cool. And then number one moment would probably be our after lore panel that we did up in Mal's room. Because it's really nice to sit down in a less formal setting and talk about it with the other lore members in the community. Anyway, your turn.
So top 3 is basically, for me, number 3 would be just getting to see everybody. Number 2 would probably be our lore panel with Jonathan, just because right before the lore panel, it's mostly just chatting with Jonathan, and then the lore panel itself, because Jonathan is like, he's super, super humble about what he does. Yeah. And then, same for my number 1 would be the after lore panel, which is kind of a mouthful. But yeah, again, just because, or the dinner at the Chinese food place with Matt, and watching Matt try to stay awake while he was listening to us explain Halo was hilarious.
It was pretty funny.
Just because, again, these are people that we interact with, we interact with on a very frequent basis, but we don't actually get to physically interact with them. And it's just nice getting to actually sit down with everyone and actually, see their face and actually be able to talk to them in person. And yes, Pins does have a party. I think I would be remiss not to include also ran with just Man-at-Arms in general.
Oh my gosh.
Because that gentleman is both hilarious and infuriating at the same time. Like, poor Matt. Matt was basically Man-at-Arms roommate for the weekend, and I'm pretty sure there was a small part of him that was regretting that decision like the entire time. But at the same time, he put himself in that position, so...
He did, and he knew full well what was going to happen.
The tweet that he had before... So who are you staying with between him and... is it his girlfriend, fiance? I can't remember. I think fiance?
We'll say significant other.
Significant other. Oh my... His better half. Was... So where are you staying?
Danny.
Man-at-Arms. Who's that? Sends her the Peregrine Greaves video. So this is literally someone you met on the internet. Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yep. I mean, that's the fun thing about our community, though. Like, in general, I met Hydra for the first time. I've never met anybody on Hydra. This was my first time meeting any of them. I've met some of my RP friends. First time meeting any of them. It's totally fine. You and I met this way.
Yeah.
We've never met in real life before.
But I'm also not. Oh, and then when Man-at-Arms running joke with Bianchi about the Shaxx helmet.
Oh my gosh!
Like, did you see
sending a sweet little ex princess Disney princess up to him?
Oh yeah. Can you give?
Can I please have the Shaxx helmet?
B. Give me the Shaxx helmet. Did you see the tweet today from Bianchi? He had a picture of Deej. I think it was Deej. It might have been Lars with the Shaxx helmet on. I was like, man, now you're just taunting Man-at-Arms. Like, now you're just taunting him.
Yeah, this is on purpose.
B. Let me have the Shaxx helmet.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, yeah. Good memories, good stuff. You get a double whammy, people. 2 top 3s back to back in one small. Anyway, I think I better cut the show. Otherwise, we're going to keep going with G-Con memories, which I would not mind. But thank you guys for joining us for top 3. Next week, we are doing top 3 RPGs, which is going to be very interesting because that's going to let Blue talk about RPGs. So you're going to hear more about Skyrim and Oblivion, likely.
Probably,
but
not going to lie. Though it's not video games. It's never
It's just open RPGs.
It was just open RPGs. So, I mean, I love my Elder Scrolls, but they don't hold a light to most tabletops. I will be honest.
Ooh, so we're going to talk about some tabletops, and we will have a guest that will fit right in with that, I know. So, thank you guys for joining us this week for Top 3. Next week, can't wait to see you here again. And remember, everybody loves a list.